Greetings, Ranger fans. Jake here for a deeper look at episode 27 of Power Rangers Dino Fury, Stitched Up. But first, a rapid run-through. Let's kick off the counter. It's morphin' time. Okay, so we open on Area 62 where Void Knight's machine is reviving Santora.
Wakey, wakey.
Slyther and Mucus try to listen but can't hear the unmorphed Void Knight, Eric, telling his love that they'll leave Earth soon while cuter couple Fern and Izzy stroll through their neighborhood discussing Kung Fugitives.
Starring Steel Silva.
And Fern asks Izzy to go to prom!
Duh.
Izzy's mom thinks it's cute too, popping up from her gardening and offering to design their outfits.
Just no dresses for Izzy.
Meanwhile, Mucus gets fed up with being kept in the dark and takes down the machine, accidentally unleashing a new sports beast.
Junkalo,
Who scarfs down trash and throws up recycled parts, intriguing Void Knight who needs help building his new sword jammer, while later at Buzz Blast, Javi arrives with Izzy's prom outfit, a dress that Izzy quickly trashes.
Not a Barbie girl, not a Barbie world.
Trashman Pete takes out the trash and Solon calls the Rangers to the dump to deal with Junkalo, Mucus, and the henchmen, who duke it out and then retreat once they get enough parts.
And the blazing battle armor's trash fire does not help that smell.
Fern texts Izzy to reveal their outfits got switched and that her mom really made her a tux, so the Rangers spot Pete and search the trash pile, but the dress is ruined and Izzy needs to go apologize to her mom, who apologizes back for not being more understanding when she was younger and offers to work together on a new dress for Fern.
Mom-daughter collab.
At Area 62, Santora listens in as Void Knight has Slyther finish the Zord Jammer, and he takes Junkalo to get the last data scan for the Pack of Smash Sword, but not before Mucus tries to brush Monster's teeth to deal with the super sneaky sports beast's breath and gets eaten for her trouble.
But she does not stay down long.
Junkalo spits up Mucus at the scan site before heading off to the city, leaving a stink trail for the Rangers to track through the city's air pollution sensors, with Ian, Avi, and Izzy going after Void Knight at the scan site while Zato, Ollie, and Amelia summon the Zords to take on Junkalo in the industrial district.
Blade formation first, then Pocket Smash time.
Void Knight escapes with his data just as Junkalo gets trashed. Izzy nabbing the Sporks as Tarek returns to a snatched up Santora, who's witnessed his command of the Sporks beast and wants to use them to get revenge on humanity.
For what? We don't know, but Tarek's not interested.
Back at the Garcia household, Mom and Pop, Rena, and Carlos request a photo op with the super prommed up Izzy and Fern just before Javi surprises them with a limo, with all the others popping out to join them for the ride.
Well, with Ian joining in for free snacks.
And the warden nabs one last picture of the whole group before they drive off to prom.
Roll credits.
And that's the end of the episode. Now, let's take a deeper look. Okay, obviously that was adorable. Izzy in her white and green tuxedo, and Fern in her sleek purple dress getting ready to head off to prom while the usually gruff Warden Garcia basically trips over himself to get photos is, of course, super cute and acts as a naturally heartwarming scene for the whole Garcia clan, including Fern. This is also notable for being one of the very few times that we get to meet both of a Ranger's parents, with the only other case in the last decade being the Silvas from Season 2 of Beast Morphers. And prior to that, we need to look all the way back to the Lansdowns from RPM, Tanya's parents from Zeo, and the assortment of Ranger parent guest appearances from Mighty Morphin. Oh, and I forgot Mick's parents from Ninja Steel. Actually, between them and Boom's parents from SPD, Kelson Henderson has now had 4 times the number of on-screen parents as the typical Ranger. Odd. I will also give the Garcias credit for actually being actively present in their children's lives, rather than running off to do aid work in other countries, getting lost in the African jungle, or cutting off ties completely until a marriage of convenience is necessary to restore their lost fortune. Yeah, Power Rangers doesn't have a great history with parents. And while it's clear that the Garcias don't necessarily have the greatest history either, I really need to give the show credit for presenting such a complex and fairly nuanced portrayal of a flawed but loving blended family. Even if Warden Garcia's relationship with Javi is still in need of some serious work after Stego Search. The sort of work that Izzy and her mom have apparently already been putting in. Rena Garcia presents a version of parenthood that we've never really seen on Power Rangers before, giving us what initially appears to be the typical relationship between an easily embarrassed teen and an overly involved mom, but instead ends up tapping into deeper themes of trust and identity. For many fans, Izzy ripping off the skirt of her Ranger suit after her first time morphing was seen as one of the most iconic moments of the season. But here we're given the additional context of just how much it ties into childhood feelings of deep discomfort and humiliation. This isn't a case of a formerly strong relationship giving way to embarrassment during adolescence, but instead an emotionally fraught relationship that is still in the process of being repaired. And that can often be very difficult to see from the outside. It takes Fern a moment to pick up on Izzy's discomfort at first, and Amelia and Ion are both super quick to compliment the dress when they first see it, because none of them fully understand the significance that this single item holds for her, because they simply see it as an isolated, misguided, but well-meaning gesture. Even Javi is quick to downplay Izzy's feelings, even after she explains why it is that she's so upset, reminding us all that they are, in fact, step-siblings who didn't necessarily share an early childhood, meaning that he may only know Rena's currently open-minded and accepting personality, not the more dominating traits that she may have exhibited when Izzy was younger. Much like how his dad may be super supportive of Izzy now, but clearly doesn't display that same sort of attitude towards him. Sometimes parents just treat different kids differently, and it can be hard to translate the positive experiences that one child is familiar with to the negative experiences of another. Of course, this is true outside of the parent-child relationship as well, as people may often have a positive view of someone who has exhibited love and kindness towards them, and have difficulty realizing that this same love and kindness may not be extended towards others, blinding them towards the damaging behaviors that others may be observing. And speaking of loved ones exhibiting overlooked red flags, that brings us to Santora, who finally makes her full speaking debut here, after 8 scattered episodes spent floating in a tank, and she continues to bring with her a lot of intrigue. Just saying, expressing an intense interest in revenge? Kind of a red flag. And while we may still not know the details of what she wants revenge for, this is definitely an aspect of her character that I think a lot of us may have seen coming. From day one, Void Knight's only motivation has been to revive Santora, never pursuing power simply for power's sake, never deliberately attacking the city, always looking for non-violent ways to put citizens out of commission with things like hypnosis or sleep bombs, and only going up against the Rangers specifically to remove them as obstacles to him obtaining more Sporix. The entirety of Void Knight's conflict with the Rangers has stemmed from the assumption that anyone seeking the power of the Sporix must desire them for evil goals, even though it's entirely possible that if he were to ever communicate directly with the Rangers, they might very well have been sympathetic to his goals and even willing to help find a non-violent approach to reviving Santora. Of course, that was never going to happen because it would completely destroy the main conflict of the series. But it also raised the early question of what would happen if Void Knight ever actually succeeded in that goal. This is one of the big things that has made Santora such an intriguing entity throughout the course of the series. Because while she may have simply been an innocent party this whole time, the far more likely scenario was always going to be that she would need to serve some role in the story that would justify the Rangers treating Void Knight as an antagonist. Perhaps she would secretly be an eldritch abomination, or she would be the key piece to a grander plot to conquer the universe, but I think the most likely scenario, considering the nuanced nature of Void Knight's character, was going to be that she was going to have a different set of goals that would supersede his and drive the conflict of the second half of the series. And with the few brief scenes that we get with her here, it definitely looks like that's where things are going. Quick heads up, if your partner brings up revenge and you have to ask, on who? Then you two are definitely not on the same page. And her mentions of revenge and his mentions of their ship both bring up some excellent questions over exactly what events transpired in the past that led to Santora being in that tank, and Void Knight, or Tarek, attaining his armor. The implication is that we may be looking at something of a Roswell situation, with the couple crashing on Earth and being subject to human experiments at Area 62 before Tarek eventually took control of the facility. Also, the knowledge that Pop used to work at Area 62 and that Amelia's parents vanished under mysterious circumstances continues to have me very intrigued. Like, is Santora looking for revenge against Pop? Like, specifically Pop? Because that would be one killer of a twist. We've also got a few other fascinating details here, like the couple both wearing those long, sleeveless military jackets, and both clearly having existing knowledge regarding the 65-million-year-old Sporix. But perhaps the most impactful element of these scenes is how much they humanize the character of Void Knight. We see an entirely different side to his character here, not only finally learning his true name of Tarek, but also seeing him demonstrate kindness and tenderness towards Santora, and discovering that he really doesn't have any grander designs beyond reviving her and taking her home, not even remotely interested in any further conflicts with the Rangers. For arguably the first time ever, we have a lead villain who is absolutely willing to just walk away. In fact, the entire reason behind the development of the Zord Jammer is explicitly because he doesn't believe the Rangers will allow him to do that. And that's kind of wild, right? That for once, the only reason that a conflict exists is because of the Rangers' continued antagonism towards a villain who no longer really holds any animosity towards them. True, Void Knight still presents a potential threat simply by possessing so many Sporix, but even Junkalo is only active because Mucus accidentally set him free, and Void Knight decided to take advantage of his abilities. Otherwise, he would have been fine with keeping things quiet.
And speaking of Junkalo, I am very curious what the completion of the Gotta Catch 'em All plotline means for our monster plot mechanics moving forward.
Because I seriously doubt that we're just going to keep having these accidental Sporix hatches. We are clearly at a major turning point now, and anticipation over future developments is very high. Yet somehow this episode itself is surprisingly restrained, with the Rangers going up against a fairly standard Monster of the Week challenge set against the backdrop of a fairly down-to-earth parental conflict, albeit one that is fairly mature and nuanced. The comedic bits with the villains were a bit broad, but didn't wear out their welcome, the fight sequences were solid, and while there were occasional moments of secondhand cringe for Izzy's discomfort and impending discomfort with the somewhat obvious dress mix-up, the uneasy pit in your stomach always felt like it was there for good reason, especially when dread over Santora's intentions begins to slowly build.
Although I do suspect that we're not supposed to be feeling discomfort over all of Izzy's young adult friends showing up to her high school prom in torn jeans and leather jackets, I will admit, as far as the rest of the story goes,
Dino Fury, I'm liking your style. So make sure to join me next time for a deeper look at episode 28 of Power Rangers Dino Fury, Jam Session. And if you would like to share this week's rapid run-through, you can find it as a standalone clip over at Morphin Legacy's YouTube channel. Please like, share, subscribe to us both, ring the bell for future notifications, and, until next time, farewell, Ranger fans, and let the power protect you.